So, okay, let's begin with the machlokus we saw the other day, as summarized by the chart that we brought in the other day. Okay? We had Rameya, we're discussing what animals were bought, karbanos were bought for Bama Ketana and Bama Gedoyla. And according to Rameya, the Dorim and the Davais and Afilu, Menachos, and Naziris were bought on a Bama Ketana. And Chacham said, only Nidarim and Davais, no Minchas, no Naziris. We saw the machlokas to explain the machlokas to Rameya and the Chachamim, whether Naziris is considered a chayiv or not. According to Rameya, it was considered a chayiv because it comes al yidei a Kabbalah, ish kiyafli linda ned and nazal hazal Hashem. According to Chachamim, that the Kabbalah is not to cut your hair and not to be metabel mason, not to drink wine, but the animals come in mela. That was the Bama Ketana, and that was the machlokas to the two of them. Rabbi Yehuda then, he said oil shlamim and no menachos or naziris, but he really said even chayvis of the yachid is born in Gilgal. In other words, according to Rameya and the Chachamim, we were discussing Bama Ketana, and Rabbi Yehuda, disagreed by Bama Gedoyla. And we inferred from what Rabbi Yehuda said, what Rameya and the Chachamim must hold by Bama Gedoyla, right? You understand? They were addressing Bama Ketana. We're inferring from what he said. Rabbi Yehuda said, even chovos of a yachid were born in Gilgal, meaning even the asham or even an asham and or a chatas were brought on a Bama Ketana. Okay? Now, the Bama Gedoyla, both the Rameya and the Chacham, they were the opinion that was born in the Midbar, it was born in Gilgal, just for the Tziba, but no Chavis for the Yachid. So we discussed the Shitas of Rameya and the Chachamim, and now we're turning our attention to Rabbi Yehuda. And now we're turning our attention to Rabbi Yehuda. Okay, guys, you good? That's the basic review of Erev Shabbos. Okay, so now we're starting Kuf Yud Zayin Amid Beis, right? With Kuf Yud Zayin Amid Beis, Amamar, about five lines up. Amamar. The Chachamim Waimrim, Kol Shehat Siba Makrivim Ba'ayel, right? This is the second Chachamim, guys. This I should have brought in now. This is the second Chachamim. The second Chachamim of the opinion that the second Chachamim, they're of the opinion, the second Chachamim, that Oilus Shlamim, right? No chayvis, they're the same as above, but they hold the same as Rameya in the first brisa. The Gemara is going to ask the Chayra, the Chachamim, these Chachamim are the same thing, because if the Chachamim here hold like Rameya, and the Chachamim over here hold like Rameya, and they hold the same thing we hold as the Shlamim, so the Gemara, what time is the Rabbanan? Amakra, the pasuk says, Ish hayashe be'einav yaseh, right? So the Yachid, why can't he bring a chayiv on a Bama Gedoyla? Why can't he bring a chayiv on a Bama Gedoyla? In other words, you can't bring a chatas or asham. Why not? Why not? In the tziba, yes. Why not? So Makra Ish hayashe be'einav yaseh. Ish yashrus hudeli karev. Ish yashrus means a yashar, means nadav and a dava. That he can bring. Chayva is leila karev, but chayva you can't bring. V'tzibur, and at tzibur, I feel a chayva is karev. Even a chayv you could bring. So the carbon tamid, the musaf, musafim, those you could bring. Rabbi Yehuda Amalach. Now, what was Rabbi Yehuda say? Rabbi Yehuda said the opinion even the yachid could bring a chayv. He could bring an asham and a chatas on a bama getana. He said they can bring bama getana. Rabbi Yehuda Amalach ki ksiv hayasha habeina hudichsiv. That kiksiv yasha, that's going on be'enav. But when it comes to what? When it comes to a chayv, I think I said something wrong. Let me make sure I didn't. Yeah. No one holds you could bring a chayv on a bama katana, fellas. I just said the wrong thing. I said Rabbi Yehuda said you could bring on a bama katana. No. Machlokes is the chayv by a bama gedoyla. Yeah. You have a Bama Gedoyla. What do they say? Sibur, yes. Chatas v'yashim, yes. Not Asham Chatas, yes. Chachamim, yes. Sibur, but not Yachid. Rabbi Yehuda, Chayvus of Yachid, born in Gilgal. Because Ish Hayasha, guys, what was the pasuk of the Chachamim? Look at the board. Oil Shlamim, The part is because that Ish Hayasha, the Yasha is going on a person. And he said it's going on, he says it's going on everything, meaning only this. Rabbi Yehuda says Ish Hayasha is only going on a Bamba Katana. But when it comes to a Bamba Gedoyla, fellas, even Chayvus of a Yacha could be bought. Again, Yasha means Neder Nedava. If the Neder Nedava is only going on the Katana, so you can't bring it on the Katana. But on the Gedoyla, you would be able to bring. On the Gedoyla, you would be able to bring. Good. So, Aval Bebama Gedoyla filu Chayvus Nami L'Karev. Elahak Ksiv Ish. When it says ish, according to Rabbi Yehuda, lav l'meimah the ish yashus hu l'karev, hachavus l'karev. Not to tell me that only neder ben adava, but not chayiv. Ki ksiv ish lahachshir es hazar. It says ish to say hazar by bama katana could do the avodah. An ish by bama katana, fellas, you don't need a kayin. You don't need a kayin. This Rabbi Newman, this is a share for men only. I'm sorry. So now the.
Do we need to change the Siyum venue?
Oh, it sliced that out of the video, by the way, when people come back and look at it on YouTube.
Anyway, so guys, so what does he use ish for? If he says that a person could bring a chayiv on the Bama Katana G'dayla, what does he use it for? To teach me that a zar could do the avodah, that a non-kohen could do the avodah. And the chachamim, for the Gemara, zor mi zorak hakoyin es adam al mizbeach Hashem nafka. It says the kohen is zorak. So when it says the kohen is zorak on the mizbeach, by oil mayed, mashma not the oil mayed, that why the zar could do it. The zar could do it. So you don't need. So they use the ish to teach me that afilu b'bama ketana you can't bring chayvos. So mad temeli boy kiddush b'chayros kamikara. You might think, right? Fighting Marakasha as a mizbeach Hashem nafka. So mad tema, I would think. Boy kiddush b'chayros kamikara kamash mulan ish. Okay, kamash mulan ish. Okay, so now you have. We have the question over here now is the Chachamim, tell us. The Chachamim here say, Oile Shlamim, no Mincha, no Nazir, no Chayvis, Sibur yes Chayvis. What do the Chachamim say over here? Oile Shlamim, no Mincha, no Naziris, no Chayvis. That's the exact same as this Chachamim. They say over here, again, their Lashon was anything that is brought, that ish, anything that the tzibah is makar oil. So what exactly is the difference between this chachamim and this chachamim? What's the nafkamina between that chachamim and that chachamim? That's what the Gemara now is coming to go ahead and address. What's the difference between the two? That's what the Gemara is now coming to address, the difference between the two. Chachamim hainu tanakama, amar papa, kirvu nisachim b'midbar ikabinayu. Machloikis is whether they bought Nesachim in the Midbar. If they bought Nesachim in the Midbar before they came into Eretz Yisrael. The Tanakama, the first Tanakh holds, Shalai Yakriv Nesachim in Midbar. They didn't bring in the Midbar. Umemela, you don't bring Nesachim on Bambas Gedayla. In other words, if I didn't bring it in Bama Katana, if I didn't bring it in the Midbar, I'm not going to bring it in Gilgal. If I didn't bring it in Midbar, I'm not going to bring it in Gilgal. And from the extra lashon of the chachamim, kol she'atzim makriim ba'ayel, that you would bring it. So the nafkamina is according to this, guys. According to here, they didn't bring in Gilgal. They did not bring the sachim. According to here, in Gilgal, they did bring the sachim. That's the difference between the two. Not regarding chayvis, not regarding nedarim, regarding the sachim. According to the first pshat, they didn't. According to the second one, they did. There's a long Rashi. I was makatza very quickly to tell you nafkamina. Okay, now Rav Shimon. This is the final shita, guys, in the chart is Rav Shimon. What did Rav Shimon say? Rav Shimon said he agreed Oilis Shlamim by Bama Katana, and Bama Gedayla, a tziba can only bring psachim and chayvois shekavei lehem zman. So a musif or a tamid, which are carbon tzibor, and it's a kavul lehem zman. What about helam davish shel tzibor, a chatos that's not kavul lehem zman? You would not be able to bring on a Bama Gedayla. That's the nafkamina between Rav Shimon and the other opinions. Okay? Good. Okay. My Amamar Rav Shimon, I met my time with Rav Shimon, the Chsiv, Vayasu b'nei Yisrael es Pesach, by Gilgal. It says when they came into Eretz Yisrael, They brought the Korban Pesach on Yud Daled. They crossed the Yarden on Yud. They had a Mila on Yud Aleph. This is important, guys. They crossed the Yarden on Yud. They had a Mila on Yud Aleph. Remember, the whole time they were in the Midbar, they didn't have a Mila because we saw the Gemara in Yavamis that the north wind didn't blow, so they wouldn't have been cured. So, and we know an oral called oral can't eat from the Korban Pesach. So it was crucial to go ahead and have be circumcised before they brought the Korban. They crossed the Yarden on Yud. They couldn't do it afterwards because they're Chul Shabbaderech. They did it on Yud Aleph, and then on Yud Daled they brought the Korban Pesach. Good. Now, just to do a little math. Let's say they were Tamei Tumas Meis from the Midbar, correct? You need Hazah of day 3 and day 7. So if an oral can't have a Hazah, there's no way they could have been Tahar to bring the Korban Pesach. Because the earliest they could have gotten the Hazah would be Yud Aleph. So that would have been 3 days later, would give you the second Hazah, but you need a Hazah day 7. It's a raya that a oral can get a Hazah, right? So in other words, they had a Hazah before they went into Eretz Yisrael. 3 days before they went into Eretz Yisrael, they had to have a Hazah. Well, before to count 7 days to what? 7 days before Yud Daled. Even though they were in a state of Arelus, they were able to have a Hazah. Okay, that's important as we're going to see. Okay. My time, Rabbi Shimon Ksiva Yasser ben Yisrael Pasach Begil Pshita Elo Hakam Ashmalon. The Chayvos came Pesach Hu Dekarev. What is brought Begilgal in the Bama Gedoyla? A Chayv that's similar to Pesach. Halav came Pesach, but if it's not like the Korban Pesach, like Karev, then you're not going to bring it. Now, what's unique about the Pesach? It's Kavul Isman. It's Yud Daled. So Tamid is Kavul Isman twice a day. Musiv's Kaveh Isman every Shabbos. So they're those Yud Kaveya. The Idach and the Chachamim and Rabbi Yehuda and Reb Meir, who do not have this limud, because they held all everything was brought with Tzibur, even Afilu Shaloi Kavel Mizman, he was brought. Miboy Leilach Rabbi Yochanan, Dam Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Noi, Oral Mekabel Azah, an Oral's Mekabel Azah. Again, we just did the math. Let's do it again. You need 7 days before your Dalid of Nisan, you need to have the first Hazah. Because you need Hazah day 3 and day 7. Good? They crossed the Yarden, they were Arelim. In other words, they were Arelim until Yud Aleph, 3 days before Yud Dalid. So obviously they had to have Hazah before they came into Eretz Yisrael. So that's where it comes to teach me by saying Pesach. They did the Pesach to teach me that an Oral, because the Arelis was only did on Yud Aleph, could go ahead and Tani Tani Kamed Rav Ada Barava. Ein bein bama gedoyel bama ketana, ela Pesach v'chayvus hakavuz lenzman. This is the shittas of what? Of Reb Shimon. This brisa is the shita of Reb Shimon. So a reciter of brisa said in front, there's no difference between the bama gedoyel and bama ketana, ela Pesach v'chayvus hakavuz lenzman. So now, we want to say that whatever could be brought as a neder and a dava will have its corollary as a chayv. Whatever can be bought bin neder and a dava has a corollary b'chayv. That's what the Gemara is going to say right now. Amalei Ravada to a Talmud, Titagi misna masnisach. This brisa we just said, tight it up. It's speaking ba'oilis chayva. It's speaking about an oilis chayva that's kavul lizman, like Tamid and like Musif, but not a chatas that's kaveh zman, like Tzir Golim. In other words, I have a korban that's kaveh zman. What is that? Depending upon the date, you're going to bring it. Okay, so now every day you're bringing what a tamid. Comes Sukkos. Are you going to bring a tamid? Absolutely. Are you going to bring a musaf? Absolutely. Are you going to bring a seir? Absolutely not. Why? Even though the seir is kavul zman, the seir is the chatas. The seir is the chatas. We don't have in the realm of an adava chatas. In order, guys, watch. In order to be in Bama Gedoyla, to be brought, it has to be that you have the corollary in the Bama Ketana. An oila can be brought in a dava. Thus, an oila that's kaveh zman can be brought. A chatas, which does not have an adava. Guys, you can't go and say, I want to bring a chatas. You have to, deserved or undeservedly bring a chatas, right? You got to do something wrong to bring a chatas. Memela, even the realm of chatas, there is a chatas that's kaveh zman. The seir that's bought every Rosh Chodesh. The seir that is bought on that again for that you want to be mechapi for Tumas Mikdash Ukadoshav of Shua's fame. So on that case, that will not exist. So that is the taich that that's the taich that Rav Ada said to this Talmud that it's speaking dafka ba'oilas chayva the ikka oilas nedava. But the I chatas yachid who chayva the kavir leizman mi ikka. There's no chayv that you kavir zman by a chatas yachid. It doesn't exist. And therefore the Bryce is only speaking about by an oila and an oila that's kaveh zman. Fred the Gemara veluki b'minchas chayva that's kaveh zman. The ikka minchas chavitin. Guys, why are you zetzing an oila chayva? You could say minchas chayva. There's a mincha every day the Kohen Gadol brought half in the morning, half in the afternoon. What's our answer? Kasavar of others of the opinion, Shein mincha kreva b'bama. There's no mincha that's brought b'bama. There's no mincha that's brought b'bama. So now we get into we did the chart. We did the chart, and now we're getting into the halachas of the Mishkan. The Mishkan Gilgal, Mishkan Shiloi. So just to reiterate, in the Midbar, 39 years you had a Mishkan. After that, you got 14 years in Gilgal, Bamas were permitted. After that, 369 years in Shiloh, Bamas were not permitted. After that, 57 years in Nov and Givon, Bamas were permitted. And after that, no more Bamas, we had the Beis Lomim, you had the Beis HaMikdash. Says the Minani Miami said that Mishkan Shiloh, fellas, the Mishnah said it had walls, but it didn't have a ceiling. It didn't have a gag. I told you, I think the areas of the Mishkan were used on top of what? On top of the Mishkan of Shiloh. Mishkan of Shiloh. Gemara wants to know, how do you know the structure? You're telling me, again, until now the Mishkan's been a movable structure. The Mishkan in the Midbar was moved, and in Gilgal it could have moved. It's the same Mishkan that was in the Midbar. This, however, is a permanent walls. So how do you know that? How do you know that? It's just Mishkan Shiloh. How do you know that? So Boil Shiloh, they came to Shiloh, and it had Avonim on the bottom, and it had a Rias on top. Menani Mili, how do you know it was made that way? Rav Chia Barabba, Rabbi Yochanan Kosev Echad. One pasuk says, "Vativi'eu Beis Hashem Shiloh," and Vativi'eu Beis Hashem. Beis is mashmid, it's a permanent structure. It's a bias. Because of Echad Ayman Tehillim, it says Vayitosh es Mishkan Shiloh ve'oyel shachin ba'adam, and it says right she came ba'adam. It's mashma that Mishkan Shiloh had an oil and not Beis Abanim. And it also says over there, Vayimas ba'oil Yosef u'b'shevet Ephraim leibacha. So hakeitzad, right? How do you guys differentiate between bias and oil? Also, you're getting location over here. You're getting that was in the chelik avad of Yosef. Like Sham Tikra, it didn't have a roof. Ela avonim milmata and viriyos milmaila. So by two different types of psukim, one describing bias, another one describing curtains. Right? We know that an oil that the bottom was of stone, bias, and vayitosh. There was the top was made of a urias, were curtains. The pasuk says kiloi basa you haven't come el to makam menucha el nachla. You didn't come those places. So no, it's this the pasuk by Moshe Rabbeinu that he says that we didn't come yet to what's the exact lashon. Because we haven't come yet to what? To the place that Menucha the El Hanachla. We haven't come yet to the place of Menucha the Nachla, and Shiloh is Menucha, and Nachla is the Beis HaMikdash. Okay, the here is some Menucha. Kashi Kodashim are eaten lefnei Klayim, and we said Kashim Kalim can be eaten by anyone you could see it. That's the Mishnah, guys. Anyone who was capable of seeing Shiloh could eat Kashim Kalim. Anyone. There wasn't like a camp around it. We said actually there was a camp. There were three. But you weren't limited to what? To the third camp. It says anyone could see it, could each kachim kalim, which was a chiddush. Minani mili that what anyone who could see Shiloh, you could eat it. So Amar Vayshi Damakra, he shomalacha, be careful, pentalo oilasecha, lest you bring your oilas, b'chol makam ashatira. This was the pasuk in Re'eh that describes shchutei chutz. Now it says b'chol makam ashatira iyatamayla. Any place you see it, you can't bring up as a carbon. We make a diak. Any place that can see it can't be ma'ila carbon. That'd be halal b'chutz. But if you could see it, you could eat. If you could see it, then you what? You were able to eat. Fred Gemara make a different diak. Ema b'chol makom shataroya iyata ma'ila. You can't bring up a carbon if you can see it. Avlata zavech, but you could shecht. So why limit it to achila? Maybe extend it to shchita as well. Rav Yana Yamakra, the pasuk says sham tala l'secha v'sham ta'aseh. Maritas taseh kol asiyas, fellas. All the parts of the carbon that you do, including the shchita, have to be done what in the Mishkan itself. So again, from this pasuk is saying anyone who could see it, you can't be maila and you can't shecht because it says taseh. But if you could see it, you could eat it. By kachim kalam, you could eat. Rav Yana Yamakra. Okay, Rav Avdimi Bar Chasa Omar. Rav Avdimi Bar Chasa has an other source that by Gilgal that by Shiloh you could eat. The Amakra, the pasuk says Amid Beis. The pasuk says V'loi Sa'anas Shiloh. Says Rashi V'loi Sa'anas Shiloh. We got a double Rashi, guys. Right side Rashi. V'loi Sa'anas Shiloh. Chafashtiv, I looked all around. V'lei mitzasav mikra. I never found such a pasuk. Rashi says I looked around. I never found such a pasuk. Aval mitzasav, I did find misracha sa'anas Shiloh. A pasuk in Yeshua to the east is sa'anas Shiloh. Now sa'anas is a lashon of krechtzing, fellas. To be misaneh. It's a lashon of giving a sigh. V'lei sa'anas Shiloh. Makam shekol haroya say. Anyone who would see it. Misaneach alav, they would go ahead and they would krechs. They'd give a krechs al achilas kachim shalai. In other words, once Shiloh was destroyed, and you looked and you saw the makom of destruction, you'll be misanach. You're groaning that what? Oh, ich gedenk the alt yarin. You know, you go through the neighborhood where I used to live. And you read. I remember those days, right? And those days are not there anymore. So that's his source of roya misanach. Ravo, he has a bunch of sources. Ravo Ama, another pasuk Amakra. It says in the Brach of Yaakov, Ben Paris Yosef and Paris Ale Ayin. Yosef is a handsome son. He's sitting Alei Ayin above the wall, above the eye, no evil eye. Ayin, the ayin of Yosef Shlei Rotz the Lazain Lahanes. The ayin of Yosef didn't want to have hana from that wasn't his. He didn't want to go ahead and be with Eishes Potifar. Tiske v'toichal kimale einecha. He should be zoicha male einecha. And again, the Mishkan Shiloh was in the chelik of Yosef, of Ephraim. So therefore, the ali ayin, the one that ayin didn't have hana, should want any place ayin that you can see the Mishkan, you would be able to eat. Rabbi Yosef Chanina Amar, another Makar, again Machlekes. Says Hastus, they had a Messiah you could eat, and look at the different chalukim, how many different opinions they have. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Chanina Amar uritzoin shoichnei sneh, and with sneh, the sneh means the lashon of sinna, guys. The samich and the sin are interchangeable, so the lashon of sinna. So ayin shaloi rotzta lehonos midvar shein shaloi tiske v'stoichal bein hasnuyim, the one that didn't want to have a nut. From the one that Reishis Batifar, Sheichne should reside, Sneh among the hated. Pirish. It's possible that you could see Shiloh from the chelik of an other Shevet. In other words, you were able to see it from miles and miles and miles. So the lashon of Sneh is sinna, that they hated Yosef. So let you reside, the one that was ayin who had hana, didn't have hana from what was asur, and go ahead and reside among the slain, the ones who hated him. So again, another source for what? For Shiloh. So a few sources. Tana, it says, B'chola roya, it says when you could eat it, roya kula, you have to see the whole Shiloh. V'lei hamafsik beino levinoi. If there's something that's mafsik between you and being Shiloh, and you're not able to see it, you can't eat it. Amalei Rav Shimon ben Yaakov, Rav Elazar, as b'lacha, kegoin be'knishta demoyen. Like the base knesses of Mayin, you're able to see Shiloh without any hefsek. In other words, let's say you could see Shiloh within 50 feet, and you have a hefsek between you. If it wasn't there, you'd be able to see it. No, you have to see it. That's what he's saying. Amrav Papa, Haroya Ashamru Roya Kula, you don't have to see the whole thing. El Roya Miksasa, I feel if you see part of it, you can eat the kachim column. Boy Rav Papa, I made Varoya, when you're standing, you could see it, but Yoshe Roya, when you sit, you cannot see it. Mai. In other words, physically you have to see it, or you could you be able to see it? Boy Rav Yirmiyah, right. I made Al Gabe Hanachal Varoya, you can stand on top of the Nachal, the type of like a valley or ravine, and you could see it. Yoshev b'toich menachal ein roya. My what's the din and b'teiku it remains without. Kiyaser of Dimi Ama Rabbi b'shleishim mekaymes. Now we have agadata. Okay, b'shleishim mekaymes shos the shkin al Yisrael. 3 places the shkin of Shayr al Yisrael. B'shilai, v'noiv, v'givain, u'beis alamim. I guess you consider noiv and given 1 place, guys, right? So you get 3. Shilai, nov and given is 2, and beis alamim, beis hamikdash is 3. U'b'kulun leishar se'ela b'chelik binyamin. It only is b'shayrish in the chelik minyamin. We're going to have a kasha. I thought you told me Shiloh Leza is in the chelik of Yosef and Ephraim. I thought you told me it's the chelik of Ephraim. Now you're telling me it's in the chelik of Binyamin. The Gemara will deal with that question. Okay? Shenemar, because it says chayfif v'lov kol hayamim. So chayfif v'lov kol hayamim, kol chafifais. All the chafifais, the ashras hashchina, which is called chafifa, I guess, layiyu ela b'chelko shel Binyamin. So the bracha of Moshe Rabbeinu at the chafifas of the Shechina, the residing of the Shechina should be in the Chelik of Binyamin. Kiyazal Abaya, Amra Kamei the Rabbi Yosef. He said this drush in front of his Rabbi Yosef that what? That the Shechina was Shaira only in Shiloh, in Givon, and Beis Halamim. So Amra, guys, this is fascinating. Listen to this. Amar, Rabbi Yosef says, Chad bara havilei leKhalil. Khalil had 1 son, v'loi mitaken, and he's not what? He's not able to go ahead. He doesn't say he's not a correct son. Now, what is going on? Look at Rashi, right side, guys. Right side. Chad bara havilei leKhalil v'loi mitaken. Nir beinai ki oviv shel Abaya Khalil shmai. You hear this? I thought Khalil was an Arab name, right? Khalil? I didn't think it was an Aramaic source, guys. It's fascinating. So, one of the great trivia questions of all time. What was the name of Abaya's father? You're going to say Abaya by Nachmani. You're going to be wrong. Nachmani was his uncle. Now, it's right. They always say Abaya by Nachmani. We say about Nachmani. It's because Abaya was a Yosem. He's raised by his nanny. Remember, he always said, my aim told me, we always dashed, it's not his aim, it was his nanny who told him. So we have, according to this Rashi, Khalil was what? His father. So in other words, Rabbi Yosef, in his own inimitable fashion, is saying, Abaya, you didn't learn good pshat. Abaya, you didn't learn good pshat. Because you want to say that what? That it was chayfif. You want to say it was chayfif what in the... You want to say that was the Shina was Shairim Binyamin. You see, not like that. It says, Vayitais Mishkan Shiloh, you see, Vayimas Boil Yosef, Ubeshevet Ephraim, Lebacha. You see, that was in the Chelik of Ephraim. So, Ravada, Maika Kashalei, what was Yosef's problem? Rabbi Yosef's problem. Dilma, Shchina Bechelik Shal Binyamin, V'Sanhedrin Gedoyla Bechelik Shal Yosef, Midamatzinu, Beis Elamim, the Shchina Bechelko Shal Binyamin, the Sanhedrin Bechelik Shal Yehuda. We find in the Beis Hamikdash there was the division. We find that Yehuda had part of it, and Binyamin had another part of it, and the Shechina was in the Binyamin's part of it. Shiloh also. Shiloh was in the Chelik of Ad of Ephraim, but the Shechina was what Shaira in the Chelik of Binyamin. Amalei Rabbi Yosef told Ravada, Hachi Hashta. Hasam by the Beis Hamikdash, Mikariv Nachlas Gabi Adadi. The Nachlas were near each other. In other words, Binyamin and Yehuda were in the south. They were next to each other. Hachami Mekarvin over here was Ephraim and Binyamin together. Now, guys, in fact, Ephraim and Binyamin were next to each other. It's just that that Mishkan Shiloh was far away from the, it's hard to say that the chelik of Ephraim stretched in there, of Binyamin stretched in there. It says, Mahachanami Mekarvan, right? Kedam Rav Chama Bar Chanina, with Suah Hoysa Yoytze Michelko Shel Yehuda. There was a strip of land that went out of the chelik of Yehuda, V'nichnaso the chelik Shel Binyamin. Guys, remember we did the Mizbeach? We said the site of the Mizbeach was in the chelik of, the part that was in the chelik of Yehuda, right? Remember that the part that was missing there, we didn't have the site there. The site, and that Ritzu went out was in the Mizbeach, that the Mizbeach was built. He wanted to go ahead and swallow it up. Hachanami wanted to say Ritzu hoysa yoytzim michelko shel Yosef lechelko shel Binyamin. Ritzu went out in the chelik of Yosef and the chelik of Binyamin. V'hainu d'chsiv Sana Shiloi, that he was groaning a Shiloh. What was Binyamin groaning about? That the whole thing wasn't in his chelik. Says the Gemara Kitanoi, it's like a Machas Tanoim, this dim of Rav Dimi, that the chelik of that the Shechina was Shoyrim Binyamin to live Machloikas Tanoim, Sheshanina Baraisa. In other words, we want to know whose chelik, wasn't in Binyamin's chelik or not in Binyamin's chelik. It says Chayf of love is a Migdash Rishain. Chayf of love refers to the first base on Migdash, which is the chelik Binyamin. Then it says Chayf of love Kol Hayoim, it's a Migdash Sheni, that also is the chelik Binyamin. Uben Kasav of Shachain, that's Yemos HaMashiach, that the base of Migdash in the future will be in the chelik of Binyamin. Rabbi Yomer, Chayf of love Zeh Olam Hazeh. Chayv of love refers to Olam Hazeh, meaning every Beis Hamikdash that was in this world, including Mishkan Shiloh, was in the Chelik of Binyamin. So according to Rabbi, it was in the Chelik of Binyamin. According to the first, the Tanakh, it was not. Kol Hayoim El Mashiach, and finally Ben Kaseifav Zeh Olam Haba. So Rav Dimi, he holds like Rabbi. He holds like Rabbi that played the Shechina's Olam Hazeh with Shoira in the Chelik of Binyamin, where the other Brisa went according to the Tanakh. Tan Rabbanan. You may oil Moyesh of the Midbar. The days of the oil Mari in the Midbar were how many days? 40 less 1, 39 days. 39 years. We spoke it out, guys, right? Remember we gave you the cheshbon of the Elep Kudei. So we said the Mishkan was built in the second year of being in the Midbar. They moved 40 years. So it was built in the second year. You have 39 years that the Mishkan stood. You may oil Moye Sheba Gilgal. How long was the Mishkan Gilgal? Arba Asashana, 14 years. Sheva Shekavshu v'Sheva Shecholku, the 7 years of dividing the land, and the 7 years of 7 years of capturing the land, and 7 years of dividing the land. You may oil Moye Shebinoi v'Givain together. Chamishim Sheva, not 57. Nishayu l'Shiloi. How much was left over Shiloi? Is Shalosh Mayos v'Shivim Chasarachas. 370 less 1, 369. These are all numbers we're familiar with. Again, 39, 14, 369, 57. Those are the numbers, a total of 479. 479. Now, you may oil moyesh of midbar boim chasa achas minalon. How do you know it was 40 years? The Amamar, b'shona rishayna, when they left Eretz Yisrael, also Moshe is a Mishkan. Moshe made the Mishkan in the first year of when they left, right? They left. Moshe made the Mishnah. Shnia in the second Hukum HaMishkan, V'sholach Moshe Meraglim Shem Gilgal. And the second year he sent out the Meraglim. Stop. So the Meraglim went out 38 years before they went into Eretz Yisrael. Sheba Gilgal is Arba Esrish Ashana Shekavshu V'Sheva Shecholku Min Alon. The Kama Kalev. Okay, this Kalev is getting his chelik, guys. Kalev gets his chelik and Sefer Yeshua. And what does he say? Ben Aboim Shana Anoichi B'Shaleach Moshe Eved Hashem Oisi Migdash Oisi Mikadosh Barnea L'Ragel Esa Aretz. I was 40 years old when Moshe Rabbeinu made me into a spy to go ahead and spy out the land. Okay, guys, earlier. So therefore, he went the second year of Yetzias Mitzrayim. That means when he comes into Eretz Yisrael, he's 78. 40 plus 38. He's 40. He says, I was 40 as when I was made when the Raglim. 38 years later, he comes to Eretz Yisrael. So now, how old is he? How old? He's 78. Good. So now, so in other words, and I did the right thing. I said the truth. Now that you're giving me my chelik in Eretz Yisrael, I'm 85 years old. When they passed the Yarden to go into Eretz Yisrael, how old was he? Bar Shivim Utamne. He was 78. 40 when he was in Meraglim, 38 years in the Midbar. Now he's 85. Guys, 85 minus 78 is 7. 85 minus 78 is 7. So you see, it took how many years to capture Eretz Yisrael? 7. Ben Chamesh Shmonim Shana, Hari Shiva Shekavshu, V'Shiva Shecholko. Okay, Shiva Shekavshu. Guys, you have 7. Guys, one more time. We know that the Meraglim was sent out in the second year. We know that Kaleb was 40 years old. So we know that we're in the Midbar 38 years later, they went into Eretz Yisrael. 40 and 38 is 78. He's getting his chelik now. He's 85. 85 minus 78 is 7. So it took 7 years from the capture. Right? The Gemara of Sheva Shecholka Minola, and how do you know it's dividing? I don't know why, but I guess symmetry. You don't find 14 years after huksu ha'ir. You don't find that 40 years after huksu ha'ir. What does Rashi say? The limit took me pasuk in Yecheskel. It says 14 years. Rosh Hashanah Shnemar. I didn't. I'm sorry. I really didn't. I didn't see this shtickle, so I'll do it tomorrow instead of making gleaning right now on the spot.